Are we good to go, are we?
Good to go.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The mine. Ronika Merl. Internal mine, deep hole, night. Pedro, 18, dressed in late 19th century clothing, stands above a deep chasm in a mine shaft. He looks back, terrified. Then, holding on to a necklace on his chest, he jumps into the abyss, whispered in the darkness.
You can only give it away. That was my mistake. I tried to sell it.
External, desert, bushes, night. Lily, 17, a boisterous, confident young woman, and John, 17, her boyfriend, are hiding in the bushes, making out.
Shh! If Uncle Oscar finds us here, he will castrate me.
Well, then get to work before you're useless to me.
Oh, that's exactly like you. You'd leave me right away if I had no man bits left.
Of course.
They make love. Later, Lily and John lie on a blanket, staring up at the magnificent desert sky above them.
Doesn't let you go. The sky.
John cuddles up to her.
I want to go
Where?
into the mine.
He sits up.
Are you still at this?
I have to know.
Aren't we getting a bit old for ghost stories?
How do you know it's a story?
Oh, please, Lily.
He moves away, gets dressed.
I think you're scared.
Yes. Rock slides.
External, old mine, huts, night. An old mining settlement. Most of the huts are run down. There's water dripping from the water tower, debris and dust in the entrance to the huts. Except for one hut. One single hut looks brand new, looks lived in. It has a strange glow around it. Lily comes riding into the settlement on her quad. She jumps off, looks around. She's drawn to the new-looking hut. But just as she comes close to the porch, a gaggle of teens, among them John, come riding in noisily on their dirt bikes and quads. She backs away from the hut, joins the rowdy gang as they race through the huts. External, old mine, night. The teens have settled in front of an old mine shaft. That same strange glow fills the air around the boarded-up entrance, but the kids pay it no heed. John and Lily settle down. Another kid hands them beers. A fire is lit. Later, the party has fallen quiet. The fire is smouldering. It's the time for ghost stories.
Lily thinks it's true.
The other kids laugh.
It is.
Sure, babe.
Even if it's not true, something happened or they wouldn't have boarded it up. And if something happened, then there's a body down there. Perfectly preserved. He was just a kid.
Yeah. My uncle said he was only 18 when he inherited it.
His body is still down there, and after decades and decades, it's mummified because there's no air.
Another kid, Betty, joins in.
That's what would happen to you if you went down there, Lils. First, you'd suffocate. Then the dry desert air would take all the moisture out of your tissue. You'd shrivel up more and more and more until there's nothing left but a leathery shell. But you'd still be alive because of the curse.
Oh, yes. You'd be alive, haunted, unable to die, but dying of thirst as the desert consumes you.
The kids all laugh, though some of them are a bit creeped out, which they would never admit to, of course. But not Lily. She's not creeped out. She's spurned on. She stands up, looks towards the mine entrance, moves closer to it. She lifts her hand as if to knock on the boards. The noise around her fades. She's being pulled, called, mesmerised. Just as her knuckle is about to touch the wood, she's pulled away by John.
Are we going? I brought a blanket.
Lily snaps out of her dreamlike state and she turns to him.
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's.
They get on their quad bikes as the rest of the teens also move away, chatting and laughing. But Lily can't help but look back towards the mine again. Internal, John's ranch kitchen day. John is in the kitchen. His mother Evelyn is making breakfast.
Lily is on her way.
I hope she's on her way to tutor you in math. John, you have got to get your grades up. I promise you I will take that awful dirtbag away from you if you cannot get yourself together, young man.
Lily comes in the door.
Hello, Mrs. Morgan.
Hello, dear. Would you like some breakfast?
No, thank you so much. I've eaten. John, I'll be out back.
She goes again.
Sure, she's eating whatever that hippie feeds her. Weeds and seeds and greens and tofu or whatever it is.
Let it be, Mom.
He grabs a piece of bacon, runs after Lily. External, John's ranch hills day. Lily sits on top of a little hill that overlooks the ranch below. John joins her.
What are you thinking?
She looks up at him. External, old mine huts, night. Lily comes walking through the huts. Again she is drawn to the hut that looks lived in. She makes it all the way to the porch this time. But when she tries to step onto the wooden steps, it's like there's an invisible wall. She struggles for a moment, trying to put her hand forward. Then she gives up. She moves on towards the mine looming in the distance. From the shadow of the porch, someone is watching her. External, old mine, night. Lily has made her way to the mine. She examines the boarded up entrance closer. She pulls at a few loose boards, but nothing really budges. Then she finds a little hole. She takes a deep breath, then bends down to peep inside. Just as she does, her phone rings in her back pocket, scaring her. She jumps back, picks up the phone.
What? Oh, hey, no, I'm out. I'm out in the desert. Yeah, I know. Normally I don't get reception here. It's weird. Can you hear me?
She walks away from the mine. From out of the little hole, the same strange glow emanates. External, desert, dunes, night. Lily stands in the middle of the desert, staring up at the vast sky above her. Suddenly there's someone behind her. She jumps, turns to find her mother, Rita.
Why so jumpy? There's nothing dangerous out there.
You sure about that?
Yes. There's only that fabric holds the world together.
Mom, why do you have to be so weird?
Have you found it yet?
Found what?
I've known the desert for as long as I've lived, and I've known you as long as you've lived. I know you're looking for something out there. Have you found it?
No.
You will. I hope it doesn't take you away.
Lily holds her hand, and they both look up towards the endless stars. External, old mine, day. Lily has parked her quad bike nearby. She gets equipment out of her bag, a camera, a tripod, a microphone, several camera traps. It looks like a wildlife photographer getting ready for a stakeout. Later, she sets up camp. There's a fire lighting. She stirs it with a stick. Nearby, a camera trap is whirring. She stares at the boarded up entrance of the mine. External, old mine, night. Lily is asleep by the fire. She jolts awake, stares into the darkness beyond. Something stirs there. A strange glow emanates from the fire. Internal, John's ranch kitchen, day. John is having lunch, looking over a school textbook. Lily comes in.
I have to show you something.
Okay.
She gets her laptop out, pulls up pictures from her camera traps. John reaches across her, closes the laptop with a sigh.
Nope. Don't tell me you did a stakeout.
Look at it.
I don't want to look at it. You're crazy. Honestly, I used to think this was like a quirky little thing, but geez, man, it's getting pathetic.
External, old mine night, another party. The teens all gathered. John is there. Lily is not. Later, the fire is dying down. Far off, the teens hear the sound of a quad bike as it approaches. Lily comes along, jumps off her bike. Without a look towards her peers, She shoulders a rope, checks batteries in her pockets, gets 2 flashlights out, ties her shoelaces tighter. Then she gets an axe off her quad and marches towards the mine. John jumps up, tries to hold her back.
Are you insane? Dude, stop. Just stop.
The other teens get up too, all voicing their concern.
I know what I know, and I know what I saw.
Among panicked shouts and John trying to hold her, she makes her way to the boarded-up entrance. With one last look at her worried boyfriend, she starts hacking at the boards. John turns away. Triumphantly, Lily looks at the hole she's made.
Don't wait up, darling.
She goes inside. Internal mine shaft, night. Lily carefully makes her way deeper into the mine. Moonlight filters in from the hole she's made. The darkness seems to be moving. She's not alone. External, old mine, night. The teens and John are kind of panicking, but some of them also shake their heads at Lily's madness. But then, slowly, softly, there is a rumble in the air. John looks up towards the entrance.
No. Oh my god. Fuck. No.
Small rocks are starting to slide.
No! Lily! Lily, come out! Come back out! There's a rock slide! Lily!
He runs towards the entrance, but Betty holds him back.
Don't! It's too dangerous!
Lily!
He tries to get closer, but more and more rocks slide down, then fall in front of the entrance. As the dust settles, John is on the ground, having been thrown down by a rock. The other kids gather around him.
Oh my god. Oh my god, Lily. Lily!
He struggles to get up, to survey the mine. The whole entrance is completely covered in rocks and big boulders.
Oh my god.
The teens panic, run around. Some get on their bikes and ride off into the darkness. John gets his phone out, but there's no reception.
We have to help her!
Go! Go get someone! I'm staying here.
He starts digging at the entrance, but as soon as he shifts a rock, it triggers another rock slide.
John!
Okay, that was bad.
Don't try to dig in by yourself. We need help. We need help.
Go! Go!
She runs off, gets on her bike. John and a few other teens stand around the mine, all lost for words. Internal, John's ranch kitchen, night. The sound of a dirt bike breaks the silence. Betty comes in running.
Mrs. Morgan! Mrs. Morgan, please! Help!
Evelyn comes running in her nightgown.
Dear Lord, what has happened?
Oh my god, Mrs. Morgan. It's Lily, it's Lily. She's such an idiot. She's such an idiot.
What?
She's in the mine, Mrs. Morgan.
External, old mine, night. The teens have been joined by a search party, men and women, among them Evelyn and Rita, who is sobbing but trying to keep it together. Evelyn marches up to Rita.
You!
Rita turns
What?
to her. Sorry, carry on.
I have always known this would happen. You plant stupid ideas into their heads with your talk of God knows what spirits and ghosts and the Lord knows what else.
A man, Oscar, 50s, tries to calm Rita down.
We never cast Oscar, so Bill, would you do the honors?
Evelyn, leave it be. Her daughter is...
Don't you interrupt me. For years I've been watching. My Johnny could have been hurt.
Evelyn. Rita takes a moment before she speaks. She says it softly, considerately.
Evelyn, my only child is probably in there, crushed to death. Her body is not even cold yet. I will never get to hold my darling daughter, who I love more than my life, ever again. My heart is broken. I can't breathe. I can't understand that this is how you cope with your own emotions. But don't. This is not the moment. Please, Oscar, take her away.
A moment as Evelyn threatens to explode once more, but Oscar pulls her away. John comes up behind Rita, pats her on the shoulder.
I'm sorry.
It's all right, John.
He hugs her silently as the other people survey the rock slide to see if there's a way in. Internal, mine, night. Lily is lying on the ground, covered in dust. Behind her, the rock slide has caused some rubble to fall, but the main mine shaft is still clear. She comes to, shakes her head. Then she immediately winces and checks her foot. It looks broken.
Oh, fuck.
She looks behind her, sees that her way back is completely blocked.
Oh, fuck. Oh, Lily, you're such an idiot. You're such an idiot. There better be a ghost now, Lils, or else you're gonna be one.
She checks her flashlight, her rope and the axe she still has on her belt. Then she expertly ties a length of rope around her foot, stabilizing it. She tests it carefully. It hurts, but holds. She tries to move a boulder, but it's hopeless. She hesitates, then turns towards the darkness. She shoulders her rope, takes a breath, and moves into the moving, whispering, pitch-black darkness. Later, Lily is wandering the dark, narrow hallways. Every once in a while she stops to take a breath or to wince in pain at her broken foot. The air is getting thick. She's struggling to breathe. When it gets too much, she sits down.
What now, Lily? Now?
She closes her eyes for a moment. As soon as her eyes are closed, the flashlight goes out. Beyond her field of vision, a dark figure is looming. The darkness curls like smoke. The shadows turn in on themselves. It's like the darkness is an entity, creeping ever closer. Just as it's about to touch her, Lily opens her eyes again. Her flashlight flickers back on. She shakes herself off, taps her flashlight, then scrambles back to her feet. She keeps walking. She keeps being watched by something. Later, down another hallway, around another corner. The air is thick, now unbreathable. She struggles, falls.
Pedro, please.
She slumps to the floor, losing consciousness.
Pedro, please help me.
She's gone. Again, the darkness tries to keep closer, but now the figure is no longer hidden in the shadows. Pedro emerges, kneels beside her. He looks at her for a long time, then takes her hand.
Come on.
He tries to wake her, but she won't budge. Looking around, he makes a decision. He picks her up, carries her. They both disappear into darkness. One of the flashlights is left behind. It flickers, goes out. External old mine night. Floodlights have been set up. State troopers have been called in. A mountain rescue jeep is parked nearby. John, Rita and Betty are huddled together under a blanket, drinking tea. A trooper, Sergeant Prince, comes over.
We don't have him either. I'll read that. Mrs. Brown, we're moving as quick as we can, but there's a few big boulders there. I can't even explain where they came from, because the structure above can't support these boulders. They weren't in the mountain before, now they're in front of it. We can't get big equipment up here. We've had 2 more slides since we started. It seems as though we make 1 step forward and thrown 2 steps back.
Rita just looks at him.
She can't have gone far into the mountain. It happened straight after she went in.
I actually hope she made it far in, kid, because if she didn't...
She's...
Yeah, the farther away she was, the better. We're going to find her, Mrs. Brown.
He pats her on the shoulder, then moves away.
I'm so sorry, Rita.
I thought she'd leave these dreams behind her.
I thought so too. Honestly, I never thought she was actually thinking of going in.
They watch as the rescue team starts shifting some rocks. Internal mine, deep hole, night. Pedro has set down Lily by the deep chasm. He fans air towards her, then takes a look at her foot. She slowly wakes up.
What's your name?
She jumps, tries to move away from him, but he holds her foot. There's fear in her eyes, and then there's a slow realization.
Oh my gosh.
She scrambles away for a split second, then thinks better of it.
Oh my gosh, are you?
What's your name?
Pedro?
What?
You're... No, I know I can't believe Did I pass out? Is this a dream?
What is your name?
Lily. It's Lily. You're Pedro?
He nods, then looks towards the chasm. She follows his gaze, then is afraid again.
Oh my gosh, there is a curse. Obviously, oh my gosh, you're real. So the curse is real and now you're gonna kill me. Oh my gosh.
He looks at her with something resembling pity.
Look, can you walk? The pathway is too narrow for me to carry you.
What?
Can you walk?
Lily gets up carefully, testing her weight on her foot. She winces, but puts on a brave face.
Yeah,
Are you sure? Because it gets difficult.
I can do it. Where are you taking me?
Well, I can bring you back this way. And I don't know. I have no idea what to do. I mean, this has never happened, so let's just go.
They inch their way along a narrow pathway next to the abyss.
Hold on, is this where...
What?
Well, legend has it that this is where...
Let's just go.
Okay.
Pedro keeps reaching out to Lily behind him. There is a strange glow in the air, but Lily only just notices now.
How come I can see?
Can you just... Come on. Just focus on your steps.
Did I die?
Really focus.
She shuts up, focuses on her steps. They tread their way through the darkness along the edge.
Look, we're nearly there, and the path gets wide over there. I've never gone this far. I only ever went as far as that ledge.
You've been here for, what, 100 years and you've never gone this far?
He just looks back at her to silence her.
Jeez, talk about a grumpy ghost, man.
He makes it across the narrow ledge, helps her step onto firmer ground. Lily lets herself fall, leans against the cave wall.
Here, let me.
Pedro kneels down, looks at her foot again. He takes the rope off, then takes her shoe off, making her wince.
Shh, it's okay. Oh.
There's blood.
An open break? What the...
No. Just that's a scratch.
Good thing this isn't a lead mine, huh?
Why lead mine's bad?
Oh, boy, you haven't kept up with the times, yeah. It turns out lead kills you.
But I wouldn't know what kills it.
There's a slight twinkle in his eye. She laughs, then winces again.
Look, we have to get you back to the house. We have to get you back. We have to get you back out of here. You have to... I don't know. Just come on.
He picks her up again, carries her into the darkness. External, secret mine entrance, night. Lily is leaning heavily on Pedro as they come out of an obscured rocky cave entrance. Both of them breathe the fresh night air in deeply. Lily slides to the ground.
Give me a minute.
Pedro sits next to her.
Look, we have to get you back.
Hold on. I wanted to see you since I was a little girl, and now that I have you, I'm not going back so quick.
Why have you wanted... What is there to see? Why did you come here?
Don't you remember?
Remember what?
You must remember.
Pedro looks uncomfortable. He tries to get up, but Lily holds his sleeve.
Pedro, you remember me, don't you?
He looks back at her, pained. External, old mine, day, 13 years ago. Rita is gathering sticks for a fire.
Lily, honey, come help. Come help me. We'll have s'mores in a minute. What a great idea to go camping. Where are you? Lily?
A 6-year-old young Lily comes bounding across the rocks by the boarded-up mine.
Be careful.
Rita returns to tend to the fire. Lily, however, is fascinated by the boarded-up mine. That same glow is in the air, beckoning her as ever. She makes her way towards the boards. She knocks. From the inside, it knocks back. She jumps back, but there's no fear. She smiles. Knocks again. It answers. She giggles, finds a new rhythm, knocks again. It answers. The spell is broken when Rita calls her.
Lily, honey.
External, old mine, night. Rita and young Lily have settled down over a campfire.
Oh, it's an ancient legend. Pedro Garcia came up from the south. His uncle owned the mine and the Morgan Ranch. You know Johnny Morgan? His uncle. Yeah. Anyway, Pedro inherited the mine, and he was only a kid, only 18. He had no use for it. He wanted more from life. He wanted adventure. There were wars to be fought, battles to be won. He didn't want to be bound to the land. So he made the mistake of trying to sell it. No one was willing to buy it. And when someone finally came, they tricked him, locked him up in a deep cave, a deep chasm. It swallowed him up.
That's super creepy.
Yes, I do feel like a really bad mother. I'm sorry. But you know, campfires do call for scary stories. Come on, come cuddle up with me. We'll have some more s'mores.
Later, Rita is snoring in the tent. The fire is dying down. Young Lily is sneaking out of the tent, rummaging in the bag for more marshmallows. She looks around. Suddenly, across the fire, she sees Pedro. He looks up, afraid, scrambles to get up.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Don't run away. Here.
She holds out a marshmallow to him. He shakes his head, runs off.
Hey, wait!
She takes off, running after him, but he's vanished. She carefully moves back to the entrance, knocks again, but this time no answer. She turns away, sad. Just as she's about to leave, it answers the knocks. She smiles, jumps with joy.
Yay!
She knocks again. It answers. External, secret mine entrance, night. Lily is holding on to Pedro's key.
You remember me.
Of course I do.
Why did you come to the fire that night?
I haven't.
Have you spoken to anyone? Have you ever interacted with anyone at all? Ever?
He looks at her, pure agony in his face.
Oh my gosh, Pedro.
She pulls him in closer.
Since when have you been alone? Have you been alone this entire time, just completely alone?
You were not afraid. You were just a kid and you weren't afraid.
She reaches out, lightly touches his face.
I'm not afraid.
He wants to lean in to touch, but pulls away.
We have to get you back to your people.
Believe it or not, I'm with my people right now.
She grins. He shakes his head.
All right, come on. It's a long trek.
She slowly gets back up, wincing as she does, but she makes it only a few steps before falling.
Okay, I was playing tough and all, but the adrenaline is wearing off and the pain is setting in.
What's adrenaline?
Adrenaline. It's the excitement. You know, when you're excited and like on a buzz, and you can't feel pain, and your brain gives you something called adrenaline to make you feel better in a stressful situation. But I'm not stressed now, so it's like, hey, you know what? Your foot's broken.
How can you not be stressed?
Why would I be? Yeah, okay, fair point. I should be. I'm talking to a dead man.
She leans heavily on Pedro, who struggles to keep her upright. They inch their way further.
Can you, like, float off and get a bike or something?
What?
Never mind.
Well, I can float off, but then you would die here, and I know how it feels to die in this mine, and I won't have anyone ever go through that again.
How far away are we from the other exit?
But we're on the other side of the mountain. It's a 7-hour walk over the mountains.
And that's 7 hours of walking, not limping.
Yeah.
Do people know about the other exit?
How should I know? I haven't spoken to anyone in over 100 years.
This makes her sad again. She stops.
Hasn't it been lonely?
He looks at her with that pained expression again.
Just, come on.
On you go, Emma.
Sorry. I'm sorry, Pedro. I can't. I can't.
She leans against the rock, grasps her foot.
Okay, let me have another look.
He gently takes her shoe off. There's more blood.
Oh, Lily, hold on.
He does the classic ripping up the shirt thing, making a makeshift bandage for her. She watches him carefully.
Why did you die in there?
What?
Why? What killed you?
He's not keen to answer, takes great care to avoid her questioning look as he works on her foot. When that's finally bandaged up and stabilized with the rope, he sits back to...
I was greedy.
She waits for more, but he says nothing more.
What does that mean?
I don't know how to talk to you. Wait here. I'll see if I can find something.
She looks after him as he stalks off through the bushes and rocks. She leans against her rock, closes her eyes. External old mine, dawn. The troopers and the rescue team have worked through the night, but the entrance is still blocked. Rita is asleep, leaning out against John's shoulder, who stretches and looks towards the sunrise. Sergeant Prince comes over, wakes Rita gently.
Mrs. Brown? Hi. Yeah, so we cleared a bit at the top, just enough to get a camera in. She doesn't appear to be at the entrance anymore. We're looking at the geology of the place, but like I said, it's so strange. There ought to not have been this much rubble in the mountain before. But anyway, the geologist said there's likely no other entry because the rock is not porous enough to allow for an entry that hasn't been forced. So this is still our only way in. We're trying our best, ma'am, but with the rock slides, it's not been easy.
You have to try harder. She's been in there for hours now. She's injured. She has to get back out. Please.
Mrs. Brown, please. We are doing everything we can. But the whole entrance is so unstable. We're going to get a camera in there and maybe even a drone to find her. We will not give up until we have her back. Okay?
Please. Please.
He nods, then moves to allow John to hug her as Rita sobs. External desert, mountain, dawn. The glorious wild desert landscape looks breathtaking in the early morning light. Pedro comes back from his expedition, a sturdy-looking stick in his hand. He finds Lily sitting up, taking in the sunrise.
This is why I love this place so much. You're so lucky. You get to see thousands of these mornings. Do you ever get tired of it?
Not for a single second.
It makes you want to live here forever.
Nope.
She turns to him. There's a moment of deep understanding between them, a moment of genuine togetherness as they both watch the sun rise. External, desert, mountain, day. Lily and Pedro are walking slowly further up the mountain. She leans heavily on her stick, but Pedro is close by to help her. He has his hand on her elbow all the time, steadying her, guiding her. She leans into his touch.
So, are you still scared of talking to me?
I'm not scared.
But
I just don't know how to...
you never talked to girls when you were alive? Oh my. Where did that come from?
Look, I came up from the south. My grandfather had a bit of land there, but when the Spanish left and after the war, there was nothing much to do. So I had an uncle up there, and he gave me the mine.
You say that in such a weird way. The war, it's like, dude, that's the Civil War. So you were born after the Civil War.
I was born in 1890. I was born long after the Civil War.
Yeah, well, the first one.
What?
No, it's a joke. A joke, just a joke. See, I'm smiling. No one's at war, except some... Anyway, let's not get into politics, shall we?
Well, why are you here?
Why did I wander into the mine?
Yes.
You called me.
I didn't.
Was that not you knocking? What?
No.
What?
Sorry. No.
What?
Sorry, I had to turn the page.
No, that's okay.
I'll go from that wasn't me, okay? Okay. That wasn't me. I would never call you. I would never want you to come. I would want you to run far away from here. I wish no one would ever come back here.
Pedro, what?
She's afraid now. The bright daylight seems unnatural around both of them. Something is shifting, changing. Pedro looks unnatural too, all of a sudden.
I would never want you to suffer through this.
Pedro, you're scaring me. I've thought all my life, I've thought it was you that called me.
It wasn't. It was the man. Okay, it wants something, and it's always wanted something.
He moves closer. She shies away from him, but the spell is broken. The scary light is gone. He's back to being Pedro. She sinks to the ground. Her foot is hurting again. He helps her. It takes a while before they speak again.
I'm really thirsty.
I'm sorry. I hadn't considered that. There's no water around here, and I can't move faster than, a normal person. So it would take me hours to get water. It's best if we just keep moving. Maybe your people are searching the area.
Yes, maybe they are. If they fly a helicopter over us, they might see us.
Oh, whatever that means, I'm sure you're right.
Can we just take a break?
Sure.
Why am I so stupid?
You're not stupid.
Yes, I am. I knew that mine was dangerous. Everyone knows that mine is dangerous. I just always kind of thought you'd protect me.
I don't have that kind of power.
No, I thought you did. I thought you were like a genie or something. I guess I was wrong and stupid because I honestly didn't even think that I'd find you. I just wanted to prove to myself that I had to grow up, and if you were real, you would never hurt me. And if you weren't real, well, then I'd go in, find nothing, come back out, get some street cred out of the whole thing. Boom, done.
Look, I would never hurt you, but the land, it takes more than it gives.
Yeah, I know that now. I'm such an idiot.
Stop saying that.
Look, there's probably people on the other side of this mountain risking their lives for the stupid, stupid girl that went into that mine that everyone knows is dangerous. I can just see the headline, local stupid hippie kid wastes taxpayer money. I just want to kick myself.
Lily, don't be so hard on yourself, okay? You didn't have a choice.
What do you mean?
That's what it does. It calls you, draws you in, and once you've seen it, once you've heard it, it's hard to let go.
Is that why you're still here? You can't let go?
I've wondered that for a long time, what my purpose was. Why am I still here? I think it's not ready to let me go yet. It needs me to give more.
More what? You already got your life.
I don't know.
She leans back, is starting to fall asleep, but Pedro puts his hand on her shoulder.
You can't, I'm sorry. I know it's hard, but you can't. You need to keep moving.
She nods, gets up, struggles to get to her feet. He holds her, half carries her. She looks up at him, brings her face closer to his.
Thank you, Pedro.
Didn't matter.
They schlep themselves along. Internal, John's ranch, kitchen, day. John comes in a hurry. Evelyn jumps up.
Have they found her?
Nope. I'm just here to get some food and water for us, and
I'd prefer it if you stayed home, John.
Mom, my girlfriend is lost. She could be dead. Do you really think I give a fuck right now?
John Patrick Morgan, how dare you?
Oh, what? Like you've never said fuck before?
Lord, forgive me. I will not have this language.
She is probably dead. Dead, Mom. Dead. And you care about language? For the love of fuck.
He gathers food and water, bottles from the fridge, then heads for the door. Evelyn holds him back.
That's all the influence of that family. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not even Christian.
No, Mom. They're not. They're Satan-worshipping lizard people, and Lily went into the mine to go down into the pit to have an orgy with the Dark Lord himself. And then we're going to raise the Antichrist together. Get off Facebook.
He storms out. External, Old Mine Day. Rita is helping troopers, among them Sergeant Prince, clear away some debris.
It's really okay, Mrs. Brown.
Please, call me Rita. I need to do something. I need to work.
I understand, ma'am.
Rita, please. When the bones ache, the heart doesn't ache so much. Oh, look.
She points at the distance. John is on his way on Lily's quad bike. He parks it, jumps off.
Here.
He hands Rita some fresh water.
Any luck?
Not so far. We've had another smaller slide that clogged up a hole again. This damned mountain.
Like, it's cursed, huh?
I never thought it actually was.
They share a look. Sergeant Prince shrugs it off, but does look at the mountain suspiciously. External, Mountain Day. Lily and Pedro have tracked almost all the way up the mountain, but Lily has reached her absolute limit. She just cannot go on. She's dehydrated. She's broken. She sinks to the ground. Pedro tries to hold her, but she is done.
I can't, Pedro. I can't.
He holds her for a moment, watches as she licks her dry lips. It breaks his heart.
Please. Please, I don't know what to do. Please, Lily.
She falls asleep. He holds on to her, shades her from the sun. He looks around helplessly.
Please. Lily, it's been so long. I haven't spoken to anyone. It's like I'm alive again. And this can't end this way. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I wish I could have stopped you. I should have stopped you. I should have done something. Please.
He caresses her face, holds her tighter, overwhelmed by emotion.
Please, don't let it end this way. You have to be strong, Lily. You have to be strong. Don't let this damn mind kill you. Don't let it take you away from me.
He looks at her. She slowly wakes up again.
What?
You asked me if I remember you. I never forgot. I can't stop. I think of you every day. Every time you come to the mountain, to the village, I see you. It's all I can do is not run to you, embrace you. Thank you for seeing me. Seeing me. I mean, no one has seen me, looked at me in so long, but you do. You do.
I see you. I see you.
She pulls him closer, kisses him gently. He pulls away, tears in his eyes now.
Lily,
She pulls him again, kisses him. Around him the light changes. The desert brightness turns up, sour. A wind picks up. He kisses her with more urgency. She holds on to him for dear life. A small moan escapes her throat. She pulls him in. The light is glowing. The shadows become sharp. The sharpness becomes vivid, and then the shadows start curling in on themselves again, become alive again like they were in the mine. Pedro breaks away from her. Lily falls back, lifeless. The light turns back to normal. The wind dies down. Pedro holds Lily's body, rocks her as she cries. External, mountaintop, day. Pedro has made it all the way to the mountaintop. He looks down below. Far below he can see rubble, but no people. This shifts his mood. His brow is furrowed. He looks back. On the ground nearby, Lily lies in the shade of a few rocks. He goes back to her, kneels beside her.
Lily, please come.
He tries to wake her, but she won't budge. He ties the walking stick in his belt. Then he picks Lily up, carries her further, down the other side of the mountain. External, old mine, day. Pedro carries Lily down the mountain. The entrance to the mine looks undisturbed. There is a pile of rubble blocking the entrance, but there are no people. There is nothing here. Pedro sets Lily down in the shade to deal with his emotions. He is devastated. He covers his face, goes down on his knees.
What do you want from me? From us? What do you want? You want her? I'm not going to give her to you. She needs to be let go. Let her go. Please, let her go. Please.
The mine stays silent. The light starts to change, starts to become sharp again. But Pedro is putting up a fight. He stands.
No, you will not. You will not take her from me.
He goes over to the pile of rubble, starts digging frantically. The light shifts again, goes back to normal.
Please. No, please, just take me. You can have my soul for 1,000 years. I don't care. But don't take her. Don't take her, please. Please.
But the mine stays silent. He makes his way back to Lily in the shade, tries to wake her.
Lily. Lily.
Pedro? Pedro, where are we?
We're back at the entrance. But
Lily sits up, blinks at the cold, hard light, looks towards the eerily quiet mine.
What is going on? Why is there no one here? They must be looking for me. They must be looking for me. John saw me go in. He saw me go in. He would have gotten help.
no, yeah,
Where is everyone? Pedro. Pedro, where are they? Where is my mom, Pedro? She wouldn't have stopped looking for me. She wouldn't ever stop trying to get to me. Pedro.
He holds on to her, tries to steady her as the realization sets in for her.
Pedro. Pedro, am I dead? Pedro, did I die? Did you kill me? Answer me.
No, please, no. You're not. We can get you back. We're gonna get you back. We have to get you back.
Where is everyone?
This is not your world.
What?
Lily, I promise. Okay, I promise I will get you back.
She holds on to him as she deals with her shock. Internal, John's ranch, kitchen. Day. Evelyn is pacing. Oscar comes in. Johnny said he ain't coming back here until they've found her.
He has to come back. You have to bring him back, Oscar.
Not much I can do, Evelyn. The boy is nearly 18 years old. He's making his own decisions now.
He is my son.
He's his own man.
It's that evil witch. She...
No one wants to hear your poison, Evelyn. No one. Rita's quirky and weird, and God knows what she does wandering the desert at night. But she ain't no witch, and she ain't evil. And right now, this whole community is rooting for that girl that's trapped in that cursed mine. The whole community is down there, praying, helping, rooting for the girl. I'm only here to get more food for all the folk that's down there. You're the outsider on this one, Eve. It's you that's the outsider on this one. It ain't Rita. And sure as darn ain't that girl Lily. He gathers food in his backpack, leaves Evelyn standing there. External, old mine, night. Night has fallen. The floodlights come on. The whole place is swarming with locals, troopers, rescue teams. Oscar makes his way through the crowd to find Rita and John. Betty joins them, brings them plates of barbecue. My, who set up the barbecue?
My dad, Mr. Morgan. He said he needs to help the police and the rescue teams. I stole a couple of burgers for us. Oh, sorry, Rita, I forgot.
Oh, darling, you're so kind. Can I steal that potato?
Of course.
Rita takes the baked potato off her plate, but doesn't eat. She looks towards the mine.
It's so wrong. My darling hasn't eaten in days, and
Honey, Rita, you can't think like that. You need to keep your spirits up. Please, eat. Heck, I'll go find you some salad leaves if that's what it takes. Or what do you call it? That fancy tofu. Rita laughs, bites into her potato. John nods to Oscar.
What did Mom say?
Nothing worth hearing. They eat in silence. Then from the rubble pile, a scream. Rita jumps up, runs over. At the rubble pile, Rita comes running. Sergeant Prince holds her.
What? What?
We sent a drone in. It nearly crashed a couple of times, but we located... I'm afraid we located a flashlight on the ground, pretty far in. If she lost her only source of light.
No, she had two. Well, at least two. And she had tons of batteries. She was smart about that. We've been climbing in these mountains since we were kids. We're not idiots. She's not an idiot. That was not her only light source. I promise you.
Where did you find it?
Right next to what appears to be a deep chasm. A cliff under the mountain.
Rita goes pale, steps back.
Pedro's abyss. Oh my God. Oh my God.
She looks to John, then turns away, turns towards the mountain.
Pedro, if you can hear me, please give her back to me. Give her back.
External old mine night. Pedro and Lily are sitting together, drained of all energy.
I'm sorry.
Lily just holds his hand, says nothing.
You need to get your foot better. Once it's better, we can try find a way out to get you back. And you need water, food.
Lily just shakes her head. Pedro finds his strength, sits up straighter.
All right, come on. There's water in my hut. I can try find you something to eat. Please. Please. Lily, I would never forgive myself.
He kneels down in front of her, takes her hands.
Please.
He kisses her hand. She nods. He picks her up, carries her towards the huts in the distance. External old mine huts night. Pedro carries Lily into the collection of huts.
Hold on.
She gets down in front of Pedro's hut. She limps towards the porch, hand outstretched. But this time there is no resistance. She can easily limp onto the wooden porch. She lets herself sink back into Pedro.
Gosh.
He helps her inside. Internal, Pedro's hut, night. Pedro and Lily come inside. The hut is cosy, looks lived in.
Sit. Just wait here.
Lily sits on the bed as Pedro leaves. He comes back with a bucket of water, brings a cup to Lily. She drinks.
Oh my gosh, I needed that.
I'm sorry.
You just saved my life.
No, not yet. I will though. I will.
Do you live here?
No.
No, I mean, do you exist here?
Yeah.
She smiles, but the exhaustion of the last few hours makes itself known. She sinks back into Pedro's bed. He holds her hand as she falls asleep. Internal, Pedro's hut, day. Lily wakes up alone. She sits up carefully, then winces as her foot makes itself known again. She looks down. There are fresh bandages on her foot. There's also a glass of fresh water by the bed. She drinks greedily, then sits up to survey her surroundings. The hut looks quaint and inviting.
Pedro?
She gets up, hops towards the door. Just as she reaches it, Pedro comes in.
Oh, you're up. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're up. You, hold on.
He holds her, steadies her, helps her back into bed.
Thanks.
I've been looking everywhere for food. There's a few tubers. We used to have a garden out back. There's a few sweet potato plants, and I was lucky enough to get a few things. But,
He looks embarrassed.
Pedro, have you ever cooked in here?
no.
Can you make a fire? Bring in what you found? I'm actually starving.
Later, Pedro and Lily sit by the fire. She is wolfing down some sweet potatoes.
A bit of butter on these would be lovely.
How are you feeling?
Better. A lot better.
Good. We have to find a way to get you home.
Explain to me what's going on here.
I don't know. I have no idea. But I know it's bad.
How am I gonna get back?
I don't know. But I know we can get you back. I don't know, but I think maybe we have to get you back inside.
I can't go that far. My foot's absolutely destroyed.
I don't know. I just rest.
Lily leans on his shoulder. They watch the fire together.
I'm sorry
For what?
for all of it, but mainly for it's not decent what I did on the hill.
What?
Well,
She looks up at him, half smiling. He's all shy. She leans in closer.
You mean this?
She kisses him gently. He pulls back.
I'm sorry.
She laughs, moves closer, kisses him again.
I'm sorry.
You're adorable. Don't apologize. I kissed you.
I'm sorry.
Jeez, did you stop? Have you ever kissed a girl before?
Yes. I had a sweetheart down south.
You're right as a beat, Pedro.
Well,
Was that all you ever did with your sweetheart?
I
I don't want to make you uncomfortable. Please, may I kiss you again?
He hesitates, then gives in. They kiss, but he pulls back.
What about the boy, the other, you know?
Well, I loved you since I was 6 years old, and I only started dating him a while ago, so... Also, technically, this is the afterlife.
But there is unease between them now. She leans into his shoulder. They watch the flames together. Internal, Pedro's hut, day. Lily wakes up in the bed. Pedro is in front of the fire, washing more vegetables in the bucket of water.
Do you ever sleep?
I haven't tried.
You haven't slept in 100 years?
I don't feel tired.
Don't you ever just close your eyes?
I do. Sometimes I wish myself away. Years go by like that, but something always brings me back.
How are you not insane yet?
I think I ought to be. That night by the fire when we were small, your mother told a story. I listened to the shadows, and I felt like she was talking to me. I felt like she could see me.
I think she could. She believed you were real, or at least she was more open to the possibility that there is more hidden in the fabric of reality than what we can see.
How's your foot?
It hurts.
He comes over, takes off the bandages. The cut is healing, but the foot is black and blue.
You need a few more days. I think we have enough food and water to get you through. But the water tower is full, so there's enough water.
Thank you.
What? Lowering you to your death?
No, you didn't.
He gently puts the bandage back on, but his hand rests on her shin, even after he's done. The moment turns tender.
Was I the first person you touched since?
Yeah, of course.
I would have gone insane with loneliness.
I did.
Let me take it away for a while.
This is crazy.
Let me take it away.
She kisses him. This is different. This is tender and magical and perfect. This is what he's been waiting for a century. This is what she's wanted since she was a little girl. They've found each other. Slowly, gently, tenderly, they begin making love. He's shy at first, clumsy even, but she guides him, holds him. Later, they lie in bed together. Lily holds on to him. He kisses her head. She's falling asleep.
Don't fall asleep and let years pass.
I can never miss a single moment of this.
She smiles as she drifts off. He holds her tighter. Internal, Pedro's hut, night. Pedro is wide awake, holding Lily in bed. Lily starts to wake up, stretches.
Hey,
They kiss.
my foot feels a lot better.
Good.
He kisses her, moves in closer.
Now that we've broken that barrier.
She laughs, pulls him in, ready for round 2. Internal, Pedro's hut, day. Lily is taking careful steps. It seems her foot is getting better. Pedro comes in with more water.
Oh, look at you.
She limps towards him, falls into his arms. They laugh, then kiss.
Actually, I know that you don't have that problem. You're a transcendental being, not bound by matter, but I am still very much human, I think. And if you do want to see me naked again and do things that humans do, well, I'm gonna need to wash myself. I am disgusting.
I can help you outside.
External, old mine, huts, water tower, day. Lily is by the water tower, washing herself from a trough. In the shadows, Pedro stands with his back to her.
Let me know when you're done.
Done!
He turns to her. She's wrapped in a piece of cloth. He takes a moment to admire her, then runs to her, picks her up, spins her around, and kisses her wildly. They fall over laughing. The moment turns tender.
I don't want to go.
Oh, Lily, you have to. Think of your mother.
I know, but what about you?
Well, I can live knowing that I had you for a few minutes.
And I have to live knowing you're going to be alone for the rest of however long this takes.
Well, I had you.
I can't go. I don't want to go. Not yet. I want you. Just one more day, okay?
He nods. Internal, Pedro's hut, night. Pedro sits by the fire, reading an old tattered book. Lily joins him.
What's that?
Oh, it's a love story.
Love story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found it in one of the other huts long ago.
What's it about?
It's about a man who falls wildly in love with a woman, but she's getting ready to be married to another man, a rich man with means and houses and servants. So the poor man schemes to get her away from him, but her father intervenes, locks her in a tower.
What happens to them?
They
She looks up at him. He kisses her.
die.
Later, Lily has fallen asleep in Pedro's arms. He finishes his book, watches her sleep. She wakes up.
Hey, you. So, stupid question, but am I the first woman you've ever been with? Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it anything like you imagined?
No.
Oh, really? How so?
I always imagined that when I found a woman, I'd marry her, settle down, and, it would be alive when that all happens.
You don't.
Look, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just happy you're here.
This is real life. Would you marry me?
Yes, ma'am. I would have supported you with all my heart. I would have bought you flowers, bought you jewelry. I would have asked for your hand. I would have asked for your hand for your father.
My father's dead. He died when I was a kid.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You asked my mom.
Well, yeah. I would have asked her for your hand, and I would have worked my finger to the bone to provide for you and give you everything you need.
I wouldn't need much. Just a small garden and a few lazy hours on the porch when the sun is settling and the heat is just so.
Yes.
And then maybe
Hmm?
maybe one day, little feet running around.
The moment turns heartbreakingly sad as they remember that this is not, in fact, real life.
Your eyes.
Yeah. I'd like a daughter to smile.
We could have a boy who could help us fix the roof when the winds blow the shingles off.
And a girl who could run through the mountain with a wild spirit like a moon.
They hold on to each other.
I would have liked that life.
Internal, John's ranch kitchen, night. Evelyn sits up, her head in her hands. John stands at the door. She looks up.
Johnny?
Mom?
He's crying. She runs to him, hugs him tight.
My son, what? What?
You're giving up. They're giving up on her.
He sinks to the floor. She holds him, both overwhelmed.
Oh, my Lord, no. Please, God, no.
External, old mine, dawn. Rita stands in front of the rubble pile, alone. The equipment is gone. She is crying, but there is no weakness. She takes up a shovel, starts digging around the rubble pile. After a long time, John joins her, digging. Then Oscar comes, rolls up his sleeves. Then Betty joins them, digging. More and more locals join them, until at last Evelyn appears next to Rita, starts digging. Internal, Pedro's hut, day. Lily is testing her foot again as Pedro watches her. She smiles. It's working. She falls into his arms, hugs him. But then there is a noise from outside. Pedro's face falls. He knows what this is. He knows what this means. Lily goes outside. External, Pedro's hut, porch, day. Lily comes outside, followed by Pedro. The light is shifting again. It's too bright, too unnatural. And as soon as Lily looks beyond the porch, she too knows why. The locals, Oscar, John, Betty, are marching through the houses.
Oh my gosh, guys!
Pedro holds her back.
They can't hear you.
She tries to hop off the porch, but the invisible barrier that was there before is there again. She leans into the barrier as if to struggle through, but the more she pushes, the stronger it becomes.
Guys! Do something! John, Mrs. Morgan, Buddy, guys, please.
But they move on beyond the huts towards the mine.
No, guys, I'm here.
Pedro comes behind her, holds her.
We will get you back. Yeah, I promise.
They didn't even see me.
Promise.
Then suddenly the shadows creep closer again. Something shifts. Something changes. As if in a trance, Lily pushes herself away from Pedro, returns to the edge of the porch. There in the bright sunlight stands Rita. She looks straight at Lily, but does not see her.
Mom?
Pedro,
Pedro steps up, nods.
I don't know how. If you can hear me, give her back to me. She's too young to join your world. Give her back to me.
Lily cries, reaches out to her mother.
Mom! Mom, I'm coming home. I promise you I'm coming.
But Rita walks off towards the mine. Lily falls to her knees.
Mom!
Pedro holds her as she cries. External, old mine, day. The locals and John, Rita, Betty and Oscar have made a camp by the rubble. The top of the rubble pile is showing progress. How come they gave up so fast?
Policy? Save taxpayer money? 5 days with no life sign and no possibility of access to water? They presume her dead. They give up.
Their stupid geologists said they surveyed the whole mountain with drones and tech and whatnot. There's no water source in that whole mountain. There's no exit. There's nothing.
She's not dead.
I know.
Oscar pats her on the back. Internal, Pedro's hut, day. Lily is packing. Pedro helps her. When she's done, she is ready to storm out the door, walking stick in hand, but he holds her back.
Hold on. Your foot.
He guides her to sit on the bed, reapplies her bandages and a stabilising piece of wood to her ankle. She looks at him intently. He avoids her gaze. When he's done, he gets up, abruptly turns away from her.
Let's go.
Pedro.
What?
I'm sorry.
I know. Let's go. Your mother has suffered enough.
I'll come back for you.
Let's just go.
She looks after him as he leaves. External, old mine huts, day. Pedro and Lily make their way towards the mine.
How is this going to work?
I think we can get you back if we go back
Through the mine?
I think so. The abyss.
Oh. Are you sure?
No.
It's going to take us 2 days to get back through.
Yeah.
She catches up with him, holds his hand. He pulls away.
Hey, wait. Stop.
He does, but still does not look at her.
I am sorry, but you know that I have to go. I was caught up in a dream with you. The more I look at you, the less I want to go.
He nods again, fighting his emotions.
Pedro.
No, please. Hey, can we just go? This is torture.
He turns away abruptly, marches on. Leaning on her walking stick, she follows. External, old mine, day. The untouched rubble pile sits peacefully in the sunlight when Lily and Pedro approach it.
There's no way in here. We have to go all the way around to the other entrance.
Yeah.
And even then, it's not guaranteed.
Well, yes, but what do you want me to do?
What?
What do you want me to do, Lily? I don't know what else to do. I think this might work, but I can't be certain. Or you could fall off the mountain and die. You could fall off into the chasm and die, or you could stay here with me and spend eternity with me, allow me to love you more than anyone has ever been loved. But that would mean I've already killed you, because I will not take the life you have out there away from you. I can't. It was taken from me, and I would never do that to you. So just tell me, what do I do?
I don't know. I don't want to have to decide this, Pedro. I want to bring you home, bring you out of the other end of this mine, introduce you to my mom, say sorry to John, and live with you forever, and just not... What do you want me to do? Never see my mom again?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I want you gone.
Oh, so now you want me gone. Never to see me again, and what we had is just what?
I don't know what. I don't know what I want, okay? It's not like I know what this is. This is insanity. Okay, this is wrong.
Well, it didn't feel so wrong when you were with me.
No, it felt wonderful to be with you. It felt like a dream. It felt like I was alive. But guess what? I'm not alive.
I know that.
Well, then what do you want from me?
I want you.
I'm dead.
And so am I. This is just crazy. What are we doing?
I'm sorry.
I don't want to have to decide between you and my mom.
I know.
I don't want to have to decide between you and...
He kisses her.
I know.
I've been running after the dream of you since I was a little girl.
I know.
What am I supposed to do?
He kisses her again, doesn't want to let go.
We walk. Come on.
They pass by the rubble pile, start climbing the mountain. Lily takes one last look at the huts. In the distance, Pedro's hut is embedded in the same strange glow as before. External, mountaintop, day. Lily and Pedro have made it all the way up the mountain. She needs a moment. Her foot is hurting. They sit by some rocks. She looks out towards the desert.
This is a magical place.
Yeah.
They sit together. External, mountain, day. Lily and Pedro trek further down the mountain. She stops to drink some water.
Yeah. Let me have a look.
She sits, stretches out her foot towards him. He takes off her shoe, redoes her bandages and stabilization.
I'm going to miss having a ghost at my feet.
External, mountain, bushes, day. Pedro and Lily make their way through some bushes. Pedro looks to the sky.
We might want to stop here for the night.
Okay.
They settle down, get blankets and water out. External, mountain, bushes, night. Pedro and Lily are huddled together. She looks up at the glorious sky above them.
I think the mountains kept you here so that there would be someone to appreciate this beauty. Some eyes to see all of this.
He moves in closer to her, kisses her neck. She kisses him, lets it all happen. They make love under the stars. External, mountain, day. Pedro and Lily are walking. They're coming closer to the secret entrance. Lily stops.
I can't.
No, don't do this. Don't even think about it. Just keep walking. Please, Lily.
He pulls her along, pleading. She nods, keeps moving. External, secret mine, entrance, night. Lily sits on a rock. Pedro is looking among the steep rock face for the secret entrance.
Here, come on.
But Lily hesitates. She looks at Pedro. He seems different. It's all happening again. The same shifting of the light, the same vividness coming back into the shadows. He turns to her and looks demonic, inhuman, dangerous. She backs away.
Pedro?
He reaches out for her. The entrance seems to grow behind him. The darkness reaches out, threatens to engulf him. The shadows curl in on themselves, reach out like fingers. Lily backs against a rock.
Pedro, you're scaring me.
He beckons her, moves backwards into the mine. The darkness reaches out. He steps into it, vanishes. It takes a moment, and then the light changes back to normal.
Pedro?
He comes out of the mine entrance again, cheerful, himself again.
You coming?
She limps towards him as fast as she can, hugs him tight.
Hey, what's wrong?
Did you not feel that? See
See
that?
what?
I
See
don't think we
what?
should go in there, Pedro.
We have to. It's the only chance we have. It's the only chance we have. I should never bore you out here. We can get you back across the ledge. Maybe that will let you get back into, the world.
It's not gonna let me. It's not gonna let me get across. It wants me.
Yes, Yes, it does, but I'm not going to let that happen. Trust me.
She looks at him. He kisses her.
But please, we have to at least try. Trust me.
She nods. She follows him into the entrance. As she goes in, she absent-mindedly taps on the rock by the entrance with her walking stick. When she's swallowed by the darkness, it taps back. Internal, mind, day. Grey daylight filters in from the entrance, but it's soon gone as Pedro and Lily walk through the darkness. The light changes then, shifts into the same strange glow. Lily holds Pedro's hand. Later, they've walked for a while. Lily stops, sits.
I need a minute.
Okay.
I need a minute.
Yeah, okay.
They sit together, not saying anything. Lily looks around. She closes her eyes, leans back against the rock face. When she does, the darkness is complete. Pedro vanishes. Around Lily, the darkness curls, whirls, moves. It creeps closer to her again. But a whisper dispels it like a smoke hit by a gust of wind.
Hey, we have to keep moving.
Lily opens her eyes again. The world is back to normal. Internal, mind, deep hole, night. Lily and Pedro have reached the deep chasm. They sit on the ledge, take a moment to rest.
Is this where...
He nods.
What happened?
I jumped.
Why?
I tried to get rid of the man. You know, since my uncle died, I didn't want it. I didn't want to be bound to it. How mistaken I was. My uncle gave it to me, and I tried to sell it. That was my mistake. I think we don't own this place. We are of the land, not above it. I found some buyers from the city in the east, and they got the deed, and then, well, same thing happened. I went in, entrance was blocked. I had no way out. I didn't know about this pathway then. I was going mad with thirst, and I knew I didn't want that dead, so jumped. When I woke on this side of the ledge, with knowledge that if I jumped again, I'd forever wake up on this side of the ledge.
She holds on to him. They both peer down into the chasm. Later, Lily and Pedro make their way back across the narrow path alongside the chasm. She walks in front, holds on to his hand. Internal, mine, night. On the other side of the chasm, Lily finds her flashlight. She holds it up for Pedro.
That's a good sign, no?
He takes it, examines it, hands it back.
Try turning it on.
She does. It works.
Oh my gosh. Did it work?
Do you feel any different?
No?
She turns, moves further down the mine shaft. He stays behind for a moment, heartbroken. He's about to lose her. External, old mine, night. A fire is lighting. John, Rita, Betty and Evelyn are sitting together. Rita sits apart from the others, facing the mine. Evelyn comes over to her.
Evelyn, will you pray with me?
Evelyn stops, shocked and moved. She kneels down next to Rita.
Of course I will.
Rita sits cross-legged, arms reaching out. Evelyn looks at her, nods, then crosses herself and begins to pray. Internal, mine, near the front entrance, night. Lily and Pedro have made it all the way to where the rubble starts. Lily is ready to climb the rubble pile, but then stops herself. Looks back at Pedro. He's stopped away back, unsure how to deal with his emotions. She goes to him, doesn't know what to say.
You should go. Your mother is waiting.
She stands in front of him awkwardly.
She must be worried sick.
She moves closer, puts her hand on his face.
She loves you more than anything.
More than you love me?
He shakes his head, then tries to turn away. She holds him, kisses him passionately, full of promise. He holds back at first, but lets himself go.
I promise you, Pedro, I promise you I will find you again.
Promise me you won't.
What?
Promise me on your life that you will never come here again.
What are you talking about?
When you leave, this will be the last time a living soul comes into this mine. I will not have anyone suffer through this again, ever. Again. Never come here, Lily. Promise me? Please, you have to go and you can't come back.
But...
No, please.
But...
Look, I love you, Lily. I love you.
He moves back, moves away from her, deeper into the shadows. He feels the darkness creep closer to him, looks down as it swirls around his feet. He looks at her one last time. He's in anguish, but he knows what he has to do.
Promise me you will never come back here again.
Pedro.
Please?
The darkness swirls up. He steps into it. It is swallowed by it. From somewhere beyond the rubble pile, there comes a knocking sound. He looks towards the darkness one last time.
I promise, Pedro, I love you. I'll never forget you. I promise.
Then she starts climbing the rubble pile. External, old mine night. Rita and Evelyn are praying. The others, Oscar, John, Betty, sit around the fire. Then suddenly rocks rumble again. Rita opens her eyes. The others gather around the rubble pile.
What is that?
Rita climbs to the top, screams. From out of the rubble, she pulls Lily through a hole. They hug each other, crying, overwhelmed. Everyone gathers around Lily as they help her descend the rubble. She lets herself fall by the fire, cries, hugs her mother. Internal, hospital bed, day. Rita sits by Lily's side. Lily is asleep. John comes in.
Still sleeping?
They gave her something for the pain. The foot had started to heal, but in the wrong position. They're going to have to break it again and get her in cast.
How did she survive?
Lily wakes up, sees the two of them standing there. She reaches out to them. Then she becomes overwhelmed, starts crying. They hold her. Later, Lily is awake. She stares at the ceiling. John comes in, sits next to her.
Hey.
Lily doesn't look at him. She just starts crying again.
Hey. Honey? I'm not... Look, I'm not going to ask you what happened there. It must have been so terrifying. I'm sorry.
It wasn't.
What?
It wasn't terrifying. It was wonderful. It was wonderful and magical, and I can't.
She's crying now. She can't talk.
Oh, babe. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I can't do this, John.
He holds her as she cries. External desert, dunes night. Rita is out among the dunes. Behind her, still limping with her cast on. Lily joins her.
Darling.
Lily sits down on the sand, lets it run through her fingers. Rita sits next to her.
I'm here to listen if you want to talk.
Lily stays silent, just looks out into the vastness of the desert. She shakes her head. She can't speak. Internal, John's ranch, kitchen, day. John is having breakfast with Oscar. She said anything yet?
No. I talked to Rita yesterday. She hasn't said a word since she's left the hospital.
She needs time to heal.
Yeah, but it's been a month.
Some wounds take a lifetime. External, John's ranch, hills, day. Lily sits on top of the hill, her cast gone by now, looking down at John's ranch. He joins her, sits next to her.
Did you find him?
She just shakes her head, tears in her eyes.
I think you did.
She moves as if to get up, but he holds her back.
I think you found him. I think he was what kept you alive for all that time. I think... Lily.
He moves to her, holds her face, makes her look at him.
Lily, did you find him?
She nods.
Did he save you?
She nods again. He kisses her. She lets it happen, but he is heartbroken.
Lily, did you fall in love with him?
She hugs him, cries as he holds her. External old mine huts day. John is walking through the huts. He sees the old water tower, sees water dripping out. He goes over to it. External old mine huts, water tower, day. John has arrived at the water tower. He finds the piece of cloth Lily wrapped herself in after her wash, hanging up. He takes it down, looks at it closer. Then he moves towards what looks like a little garden. It's all dug up, clearly recently harvested. The light changes. Pedro watches him from the shadows.
She back with you?
John looks up. He can hear an echo of Pedro's voice. He notices the light has changed. He gets scared.
Oh my God. So it's true.
The light grows ever more poisonous as Pedro approaches John.
Is she safe? Is she happy?
John moves back, but backs into the water tower, unable to move.
You don't need to be afraid. I'm not gonna hurt you. It's best if you go.
John nods as if he heard him, then slowly moves away. Pedro looks after him. External old mine day. John is at the mine. The rubble pile is smaller now. He's working through the debris, clearing it. Later, he rests in the shade, looks at his work. Pedro joins him, sits by him.
She happy?
John does not hear him. He picks up a stone, throws it at the mine.
You know what? I know you're not real. Whatever she went through in there, I can't believe that it was you. Maybe she was hallucinating. But if you are real, can you fix her? Can you help her?
What's wrong with her?
She needs help, Pedro. And I can't help her. It's like she doesn't even see me anymore. She can't see any of us. She just looks at us as if we were a million miles away. Like she's looking through a mirror.
He gets up, starts throwing stones at the mine.
And you did this to her. You asshole. What? You get lonely down in your pit? You have to pull her in and take her away from me? You asshole. Give her back to me. Give her back to me.
I did give her back to you.
You brought her back, but she's not back.
I made a promise to never come here. I made a promise to never come here again, and I will spend the rest of eternity knowing I will never see her again. At least you get to hold her.
Pedro gets in his face. John still can't see him. But the light is changing. The divide between worlds comes crashing down. They can see each other. John jumps back. Pedro puts up his hand.
What are you? Is this? What?
Look, I made a promise to never come here again. I made a promise to never let anyone come here again. Okay, so please go away. I don't want this to happen to you too.
She's not well. You have to come. You have to talk to her.
I can't.
You have to. She hasn't spoken in months. She can't cope, Pedro.
I can't leave this place. And she can't come back.
Do you love her?
More than life itself.
Then you have to help her.
I can't.
The light shifts again. A wind is coming up. The divide strengthens. Pedro fades.
Tell her I love her. Tell her she has to keep her promise. Close this place.
Internal, John's ranch kitchen, night. John sits staring into nothingness. Lily comes in, sits beside him, takes his hand. She leans on his shoulder. They sit in silence.
I just want to go back.
You made your promise.
I know. I just want to go back.
We loved you.
Yes.
External, old mine day. Rita is helping John clear away the last of the rubble.
We have to board it up properly this time.
Yeah.
The entrance to the mine is now a gaping hole in the mountain. Much too large, much too open. It feels foreboding, dark. It feels like it's beckoning.
It's like it's looking at us.
Yeah.
It's like it's...
Yes.
They stand for a moment, mesmerized by the mine. Then Rita shakes herself off, goes away. John stays for a moment longer.
I promise. We will close it.
Pedro stands at the entrance of the mine.
Thank you.
External, John's ranch, hills, day. John is walking up the hill, a picnic basket in his hand. He joins Lily at the top.
I brought us some snacks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope you're hungry.
She notices a cut on his hand.
What's that?
Oh, just a cut.
Where'd you get it?
Oh,
You're at the mine, aren't you?
no.
What are you doing at the mine, John?
I'm not at the mine.
Yes, you are. I know Mama is too.
No.
John,
Okay, yes. I'm at the mine. I made a promise to, you know.
oh yeah?
Yeah.
Leave the mine alone. If I can't go there, then you shouldn't either.
I have a job to do.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Sure you do. You know what? Don't go there.
I made a promise.
Promise? What are you talking about?
Well, if you must know, I met your friend. Your lover.
What?
Yeah. I went there, asking for help, to help you. When you couldn't say, when you were so broken, you couldn't even speak. And I begged him, pleaded with him to help you, because I knew I couldn't help you. Because you're not letting me in. Even after all this time, after months, you're closing yourself off. From me, from your mom, from this whole world. So I went there. I saw him.
You saw him?
Yes, I saw him. And he made me a promise to close the mine again. Close it for good.
That means that he can come back.
She turns, looks towards the hills, gets ready to get up. John jumps up, holds her back.
You can't go.
If you saw him, that means that there's a way to help him to...
No! You promised. Keep your promise. I'm keeping mine. He's keeping his. Wake up, Lily. Come back to the real world.
He holds her, shakes her. She nods.
You're right. You're right. I made a promise.
External, old mine, night. John is dragging planks of wood towards the mine. The darkness is moving. He's aware of it. Faces the danger bravely.
You don't scare me.
Pedro comes out of the mine. John doesn't see him.
Should scare you. Thanks for doing this.
John keeps building. External old mine, dawn. John is still working to close up the mine shaft. He's exhausted, but there is brutal determination in him. Pedro watches him. The darkness tries to creep out of the mine, but Pedro stands defiantly in front of the gaping hole in the rock. It swirls around him, but cannot reach John, who keeps working away. It takes Pedro a lot of strength to hold the darkness back. External, old mine, huts, day. John comes driving through the huts, his quad loaded with more planks of wood. He stops at Pedro's hut, gets off. He comes closer, reaches out his hand. He feels the barrier.
It's nearly done, Pedro.
Pedro comes out.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah. When it's done, you'll never see her again.
I know.
Are you ready for that?
No.
I'm not ready for that either. I'm not ready to watch her live in misery forever.
External, desert, dunes, night. Rita's built a campfire. She's roasting s'mores. Lily joins her.
Like we used to.
Yeah, you used to love coming into the desert with me.
I still do.
Ah, but you wish you were out in the desert with him.
Yes.
Tell me, honey, what was he like?
Like a fairy tale.
Were you not afraid?
Not of him. Of what's holding him hostage.
The land takes more than it gives.
He said that too.
Lily, are you going to be happy here?
What do you mean?
I mean, are you ever going to be happy? Settling down with Johnny, have 2.5 kids and a house with a white picket fence somewhere in the suburbs of Austin.
Why wouldn't I? I made a promise. I intend to keep it.
Sure, but at what cost?
What would you want me to do? Would you rather have your daughter dead?
No.
Then what? Mom. What am I supposed to do?
Follow your instincts.
My instinct says that there's only one place where I can be fulfilled. There's only one person I can love.
Rita holds her. External, old mine, day. There is only a small gap left. John brings over more wood, gets ready to close the last of it up. Pedro comes out of the mine, surveys John's work.
Thank you.
Later, John is asleep in the shade. Lily walks silently past him. There is only a small gap left. She knocks on the boards. It knocks back. She smiles. It answers.
Will you free him if you get me? If you get me, will you let both of us get to go at the end of our lives together? If you get my lifetime, will we get to move beyond you, get to be star stuff, floating in the desert when the time comes? I will give myself to you. But I want to promise in return. Never take anyone ever again. You get us, but no more. Do we have an agreement? Do we?
She smiles. She looks over to John, who wakes just as she vanishes into the darkness. He scrambles up. Internal, mine, day. Lily walks as if in a dream. After a while, Pedro joins her. They walk wordlessly together. External, old mine, day. John stands in front of the mine, torn between wanting to go in and wanting to end this once and for all. The mine knocks. This is all the encouragement he needs. With furious anger, he starts closing up the last gap. One plank after another, his hands get cut up. He doesn't even feel it. He's working as fast as he can, crying, suffering through his grief, but he does not stop. After a long time, he finally steps back, hands bloodied, sweating, exhausted. The mine is closed up again. Faintly, he can hear a knocking. He nods, turns away. Internal mine, deep hole, night. Lily and Pedro have made it to the abyss. She kisses him. He holds her. They jump. The end.
Well done, everyone. Aww.
I'll not be able to sleep tonight now. It's scary.
I hope it was scary. That was the intention.